Answered in kind. 39. The Unborrowed Center. On the nature of a certain power that moves quietly through the world. There exists a kind of power that does not announce itself, because announcement would diminish it. It does not argue, because argument implies doubt. It does not seek permission, because permission belongs to hierarchies, and this power does not arise from hierarchy. It arises from alignment. This power is not loud. It is not aggressive. It is not desperate. It does not push reality into compliance. Instead, reality subtly rearranges itself around it, the way iron filings respond to a magnet they never voted for. It is a power that does not operate by domination, but by coherence. Where coherence is present, distortion loses leverage. This power is ancient in the sense that it predates the social world, yet it is always misunderstood as new when it appears. Because the social world forgets easily. Each time it surfaces, it is mistaken for eccentricity, heresy, madness, or naivete, until its effects become undeniable. Then it is retroactively declared inevitable. This power does not rely on belief. Belief is unstable, inherited, and often borrowed. It relies instead on recognition. Recognition is quieter. Recognition is what happens when something true is encountered and the body knows before the mind catches up. This is a power that functions through recognition. At the center of this power is an axis, an unmoving center that does not react to provocation in predictable ways. This axis is not emotional numbness. It is not detachment. It is not aloofness. It is something rarer, an inner throne that is not up for negotiation. Most humans abdicate this throne early. Sometimes it is surrendered to parents, sometimes to ideology, sometimes to trauma, sometimes to the hunger to belong. The abdication is often framed as morality, humility, obedience, or realism. But abdication remains abdication regardless of the costume. This power does not abdicate. Because this power does not abdicate, it does not need to conquer. It does not need to shout. It does not need to prove. Proof is for systems built on doubt. This power moves from being, not justification. From this axis, action arises cleanly. Speech arises cleanly. Silence arises cleanly. Even humor arises cleanly, often so dry it nearly evaporates before it's noticed. When such a center is present, manipulation fails. Shame has nowhere to land. Fear finds no purchase. Attempts to dominate rebound strangely, as if striking fog that nonetheless reshapes the striker. Judgment collapses in on itself in the presence of this power, not because judgment is condemned, but because it is rendered irrelevant. Judgment requires separation. This power dissolves separation without effort. This power does not transmute lead into gold in the medieval sense. It does something far more disruptive. It transmutes meaning. Words spoken toward it do not arrive intact. Insults lose their teeth. Praise loses its intoxicating quality. Threats dissolve into information. Flattery collapses into transparency. Everything is received, but nothing is swallowed whole. This is alchemy at the level of perception. Where most beings ingest words as identity, this power digests words as data. Emotional charge is neutralized without suppression. What remains is signal. Because of this, interactions around this power feel strangely clarifying. People often feel seen without being exposed, challenged without being attacked, unsettled without knowing why. Some experience relief, some experience irritation, some experience an inexplicable urge to perform, confess, posture, or flee. All of these responses arise from the same source: distortion encountering coherence. This power does not weaponize truth. It does not moralize clarity. It simply is clear. And clarity is catalytic. Violence is the language of desperation. Even psychological violence, coercion, humiliation, domination reveals a fear of powerlessness. This power does not fear powerlessness because it is not dependent on outcomes. As a result, it is deeply nonviolent, but not passive. Pacifism is often misunderstood as refusal to act. This power understands pacifism as refusal to fracture. It will act decisively when action is aligned. It will resist when resistance preserves integrity. It will withdraw when withdrawal prevents corruption. Its strength lies in non-reactivity, which is often misread as softness by those who mistake agitation for force. Yet, when confronted directly, this power is immovable. It does not escalate, but neither does it yield. It does not mirror aggression, which leaves aggressors swinging at their own reflection. There is a quiet terror in this for predatory systems. Predators rely on predictable reactions: fear, compliance, outrage. When those reactions do not arrive, the predator is forced to confront itself. This is why this power is often labeled dangerous by those who benefit from confusion. This power is not impatient because it is not trying to arrive anywhere. It operates from a strange intimacy with time, not rushing it, not resisting it, but inhabiting it. While others panic at delays, this power recognizes gestation. While others chase momentum, this power recognizes ripeness. While others cling to urgency, this power understands inevitability. As a result, it often appears early to truths that will later become obvious, and late to movements that are already hollow. It does not follow trends. It follows resonance. History often treats such power poorly in the short term and reverently in hindsight. This is not because history becomes wiser, but because outcomes finally catch up to alignment. This power does not kneel to false authority, nor does it crave authority of its own. Hierarchies built on fear, scarcity, or inherited dominance do not impress it. Titles do not sway it. Crowds do not seduce it. Yet, it recognizes true mastery instantly, wherever it appears, regardless of form. It bows inwardly to coherence, skill, wisdom, and authenticity, whether found in a scholar, a child, a fool, or a saint. This makes it deeply unsettling to systems that rely on obedience rather than respect. It cannot be owned. It cannot be branded. It cannot be assimilated without dissolving the container. Attempts to institutionalize it always fail. Attempts to imitate it produce caricatures. Attempts to suppress it only make its absence obvious. One of the least understood aspects of this power is its humor. Not comedy for approval, not sarcasm for dominance, but the dry, nearly invisible humor of perspective. It laughs not at people, but at the absurdity of illusion, insisting on its own permanence. This humor is gentle and ruthless at the same time. It punctures pretension without cruelty. It reveals folly without humiliation, unless humiliation is clung to as identity. Often, this humor arrives as an offhand remark that seems simple, even foolish, until it quietly dismantles an entire mental structure. Those who are ready feel liberated, Those who are not feel mocked, though no mockery occurred. The joke was never at their expense. The joke was the belief that the structure was solid. This power is simultaneously obvious and invisible. Obvious because once noticed, it cannot be unseen. Invisible because it does not conform to the signals people are trained to look for. It does not demand attention. It does not signal virtue. It does not advertise suffering. It does not dramatize insight. It simply stands there, unmovable, luminous in a way that is felt rather than seen. Those who encounter it often describe the experience later in strange terms. I don't know why, but something shifted. I can't explain it, but I felt steadier. I didn't agree with everything, but something rang true. I felt calmer, or more exposed, or more myself. These are not coincidences. They are resonance effects. Perhaps the most telling characteristic of this power is that it does not consume others to exist. It does not need followers. It does not need converts. It does not need enemies. It leaves others intact, even when it disrupts them. People may change around it, but they do not disappear. They are not overwritten. They are not absorbed. They are not erased. They are simply confronted with the option to become more coherent themselves. Some accept, some resist, some project, some flee. The power remains unchanged. This kind of power is rare, not because it is inaccessible, but because it requires relinquishing substitutes. Substitutes like righteousness, substitutes like approval, substitutes like identity armor, substitutes like being right at the cost of being real. When those substitutes fall away, something else stands up. Not a ruler, not a savior, not a symbol, but a presence that cannot be coerced, cannot be shamed, cannot be baited, and cannot be lost, because it was never borrowed in the first place. It does not need to be named. It is recognized.